Hi, ladies and gentlemen, Nerdy Girl. I just donated blood today. It's Valentine's Day. I don't need this stress. I just heard about nutcase Nikolas Cruz shot up a bunch of people and kids in school in Parkland, Florida. I mean, what's going on with this country? I've already uploaded 3 videos in 2017 about this, and a 4th video just last month. How did this young 19-year-old that shot and killed 17 students and faculty, how did he get his hands on an AR-15? That's what I want to know. How is it that thugs like this, misfits, bad kids like this, come through the cracks? Instagram accounts, Facebook accounts, they just fall through the cracks. We know how these kids are. They're misfits, they don't fit in. And yet, we as a country act like this is nothing. This is just like another day. Oh, it's only 17 kids shot. 17 kids and faculty shot. It's no big deal. This is nuts. This is not acceptable. You know what? I don't believe I'm going to upload videos about this anymore. I'm tired of talking about it. I'm tired of talking about this shit. This is getting on my nerves. I'm tired of talking about it. We need to form a registry. We need to form a registry about these misfits, these men and boys that are able to get guns, that even on social media, they say that they're going to shoot. They even say they're going to do it. And we think of it as some kind of a joke. We just laugh it off. We think, oh, they're just rambling. We have to take these things seriously. President Donald Trump says, yeah, we have to look at mental health issues. But then he recanted the thing about putting it into law, that we should put it into law. I don't even know what's going on anymore. This is ridiculous. What we need to do, I call upon people in the public. I call upon people to contact your lawyers, doctors, engineers, mayors, governors, and pass some sort of legislation on the federal level. To put, first of all, men and boys that show signs that they're recluses, they're holding to themselves, they're not mingling. And we all know who these village idiots are. We know who they are. Put them in a registry. As I said last month, what we need to do is we need to send somebody to their house every month, a psychologist and an inspector. Inspect their crawl spaces, inspect their garages, inspect their attics, inspect their bedrooms. Are they loading up on guns and ammo? It's not for hunting. They're out to kill people. These guys are nuts. They're not playing with a full deck. And we've got to identify who these motherfuckers are, who these son of a bitches are, and remove them. If we see we cannot correct them, what we got to do is we got to remove these assholes. We got to remove them and put them in a mental hospital or in a nursing home. And we got to put them in a mental hospital or a nursing home for life, where they can't kill people. I propose that we don't put them in jail, but put them in some sort of a mental hospital where they are under constant observation, because they are dangerous. They are dangerous individuals, and these individuals will eventually kill. They're dangerous. They're deadly individuals. And we have to take these individuals, and we have to take them more seriously. I am an unusual person. I don't believe in taking guns away from the public. I know a lot of Democrats, I am a Democrat, but I know a lot of Democrats believe in taking guns away from the public. I don't believe that that's the answer. I believe our Second Amendment rights is that the American public should be allowed to have their guns. We should be allowed to have our guns. But the guns should be licensed. There should be background checks. And 19-year-olds should not be able to get their hands on an AR-15. What, can't we have somebody like look at their posts on Facebook, on Twitter and Instagram and see what they're talking about? If there's a slight clue, and all these assholes that commit these horrendous acts of physical violence, they do leave clues behind. Nobody can tell me that they don't, because they do. They leave clues that they're going to commit heinous crimes. First of all, for life, if they show these kind of signs, they cannot have a firearm owner's card, and they should be barred from buying a gun at any gun shop. Now, of course, there's the dark web. They can buy stuff over the dark web. But watch these people. And if we see that we cannot fix them up, they see that they're loco, they're not playing over the full deck, and that they are just holding back from society, this should be a red flag. This should be a red flag. We should take those individuals and lock them up in a nursing home or in a mental hospital for the rest of their lives. They're going to get free TV. They could play chess. They get to mingle. They get to have visitors. They get their relatives to visit them. They give outings. But they're confined to an institution. These are dangerous individuals. Before they commit a heinous crime where they kill people. Watch this shit that I have ahead.
So I kind of want to break down what's happening right now from what we can see from our helicopter over the area. So this happened at Stoneman Douglas High School. Now that's a high school, according to records online, of 3,000 people. What's confusing for police right now, at least at the moment, is that there's a nearby school, Westglades Middle School, which is about a 5-minute walk. So it's possible, one of the things they're looking at is to see if when the shooter got out, he somehow was able to mix in with students or crowds from that nearby school. Now, Parkland, where the shooting happened, doesn't have their own police department per se. They contract through Broward Sheriff's Office. That's the main county police department, which is actively working the situation. I'm told SWAT team members are the ones that are on the ground there. But the Coral Springs Police Department, which is a nearby town, was one of the first responding agencies there. And they put out a tweet now, which is pretty chilling, but they put this out on Twitter because of all the 911 calls. They posted, police are working an active shooter scene and asked that if you are in touch with your student, you ask that they remain calm and barricaded until police come to the room. This is for everyone's safety. Do not call our 911 or non-emergency number unless it's an emergency. Imagine what parents are thinking when they get that message. And to me, which was even more chilling, was that eyewitness you just spoke to, that student who is in high school, and at the sound of 2 gunshots, she knows exactly what is going on.
It is a story all too familiar. Described as an active shooter situation, Steve, according to one of the students there, Alexander Robertson, they believe the shooter was in one of the 10 buildings of the high school, the freshman building. Walk us through the procedures right now that the police, the FBI on the scene will be going through to
get as many people, as many of the students, faculty out of the area as soon as possible. We don't want any more injuries. They're containing the situation, and as you can see, the SWAT teams are assembling. And we already saw, I think, at least one SWAT team go in there because they want to immediately.
George, particularly in Virginia, because of Virginia Tech, actually have what they call threat assessment teams. They're usually made up of the community resource police officer assigned to the school. This high school may have more than one, a psychologist, people from the school, and maybe even some students. And as they hear about troubled kids, because let's face it, these kids don't all of a sudden decide they're going to be a mass shooter. They have troubles. They have issues. They don't get along with people.
They got issues. They got troubles. They are misfits. They are misfits. We need a registry for misfits.
Information gets to the staff and maybe the police officer at the school. You got a kid that's flashing guns on Instagram. You got to address it.
Steve Gomez, also former FBI special agent. One of the things that's been puzzling us as we've watched this unfold over the last couple of hours is we first heard that the shooter was inside the school, perhaps in the freshman building, but we saw him being arrested, looks like a couple of blocks away.
Yes, and that was a big concern when you respond to this type of situation. You want to try to create a perimeter that to where nobody can get out, especially the suspect. And it looks like the suspect was able to make it out into a nearby neighborhood. It was probably an essential piece of intelligence that was given to the police by one of the students or faculty that probably led them to one of those locations. We'll see what the investigation bears out. But the police clearly did a great job in apprehending him outside of their perimeter from what it looks like.
And it's hard to imagine how he could have gotten out of the school. Certainly hard to imagine he would have gotten out with any weapons.
Well, that's where they're going to have to piece together the timeline of the events from the first shooting all the way to the last. Did he go in there and was he targeting a certain class or a certain group of students? We talked about how he was a former student. Did he have some kind of problems to where he just went in there to target certain people and then try to get out of there? And so that's something that's going to be part of the investigation, and they're going to want to move on that very quickly.
They are moving on. As we said, a shooter is in custody right now. Tom Yamas, we're learning just bits and pieces now about that young man.
Yeah, we're hearing from the one eyewitness who told us he thinks it was a former student. Other students are telling other outlets that it was a former student, a student who went there. Some reports even say a troubled student. But there seems from Senator Marco Rubio, who apparently has been briefed on the situation. And George, this is a very grim tweet. He writes, "Just spoke to Broward School Superintendent. Today is that terrible day you pray never comes."
It has come to Broward County, Parkland, Florida, Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School. I want to speak now to one of the students at that high school, Zachary Wells, an ROTC student at the school. Zachary, can you tell us what you were able to see and hear and where you are right now?
Yes, I was leading some kids out from. Yes, I was leading some kids out from the classroom. We were heading over towards the 1300 building, which is where the shots happened. I heard saying to go the other way, so we ran over back into our classroom, and police eventually came and got us, and now I'm out on the street just trying to get home safe.
What exactly did you hear? How many shots did you hear fired, or could you hear anything?
I heard the 2 or 3 shots, and at first I thought they were fireworks. I saw the custodians, and there was one kid that was a little bit further ahead of me, but I just thought they were fireworks at first, and then I realized they were gunshots, and everyone in the class just sprinted back to the classroom, and we barricaded ourselves up in there.
As far as you know, was the shooting contained to that one building?
I believe it stayed in that area, yes, and then from what I heard, he dropped his rifle, and he made his way out with the other students that were being evacuated. He walked over to Wyndham Lake, which is actually pretty near. Well, I live in Wyndham Lake, and he was arrested at a common little mud hole there at the Florida Power and Light area.
We actually saw the video of him being arrested. We're not prepared to name the shooter just yet, but you say you believe you know who it was. You know something about this former student?
Yes, I know who it was. We got a picture of him, and we were actually sending it around to the different officers and whatever what contact info that we had.
Is this who I need to stop? Details of his expulsion, stories of animal cruelty and obsession with weapons.
Aggressive, crazy, weird, psycho.
And the victims, ripped from their families, a community in mourning, and the acts of bravery and self-sacrifice in that school that saved untold lives. This special edition.
I wasn't able to sleep. I just saw his face in my head when the shots, hearing it.
For the survivors of the Parkland shooting, the moments many feared would be their last, replaying over and over in their minds.
You never think it will happen to you and to your school until it really does, and it just doesn't feel real.
Junior Mackenzie Hill was with her twin sister just moments before the shooting began.
I was in the restroom while I heard 10 to 15 gunshots go out. And I go to the stall and run it really quick, and I grab 2 people near me, telling them we need to get to the classroom right away.
So you're in the bathroom on the 2nd floor, and you hear the gunfire, and your twin sister is downstairs in the classroom.
In the classroom I was in.
She says she saw the shooter down the hall, heading down the stairs.
And that's the moment I panicked, and the girl with me was hyperventilating because she had asthma. So when we get in the classroom, we were just sitting down, and I had contact with my sister. And then told me she loved me, then I heard the gunshots in my first voice. She didn't answer me.
Mackenzie describes those heart-wrenching moments separated from her twin sister.
All we heard is screaming and crying, and then it got silent because all the kids who were shot and the room was over, they lost so much blood, and we heard no gunshots for about 10 minutes. And 40 minutes later, I still received no messages from my sister, not knowing if she got out.
Downstairs in that classroom on the first floor, junior Jonathan Blank.
There's a glass panel on our door, and it's like a rectangular glass window. He opened fired at the door from the inside the hallway, through the door, and just started spraying through the door.
And in this chilling video, the deafening shots ringing out, and you could actually see Jonathan. He was on the floor along with so many of his friends. You can see his sneakers right there.
I was laying down. 4 kids in my class, they got shot. 2 of them, I believe, passed away. I saw them on the ground after they were shot. There was blood everywhere, and it was just horrible.
The seconds turning into minutes. It seemed an eternity.
And finally, the cops, we hear them screaming. We had to put our hands up. They came in with assault rifles, pointing them to make sure that the shooter wasn't in our class. And as I was making the right turn out of the class, I saw 2 kids laying in the middle of the hallway, dead. They were just dead.
A sight no high schooler should have to see.
How terrifying was the whole thing?
It was the most scariest moment of my life. I've never experienced anything like that.
Jaden Bear, a junior, fled to a closet where she hid for hours with other students. In what she thought were her last moments, she texted her mother.
I just said, Mom, I love you so much, and I think I'm gonna die.
Her teacher, trying to keep everyone hiding in that closet calm.
I knew that she wanted to be emotional, but she couldn't for us, because if she was, then so many other people would have broke down.
The students are evacuated out of the school and told not to look around, to keep their hands in the air.
I was looking around to see what everything was going on, and I saw my security guards dead on the ground. I saw people, blood everywhere, and I just couldn't take it all in. And then I get out of school and I saw my sister.
What was that like?
It was the best feeling. If she would have died, I don't know what I would have done.
But for too many parents, there is only grief tonight. On that fateful Valentine's Day, sending their children off to school, not knowing that they would never come home.
How many of you know someone who did not get out alive?
Well, we had a friend, me and my group of friends, that we haven't heard from. And not until 2 a.m. last night that it was confirmed.
I lost someone very close to me that I saw as a little brother. And that hurts, and nobody should have to deal with that today. Nobody deserves that.
They then show us the photos of the friends they have lost.
This is my classmate Nick. He was actually he was on the national team for swimming. He committed to the University of Indianapolis a couple, 2 weeks before this happened. Great classmate, great person, always so nice.
They were teenagers filled with promise, dedicated coaches and teachers too.
We had an athletic director, campus monitor, who responded immediately. Unfortunately, those 2 heroes gave their lives for our kids.
And when you finally do get back to school, how many of you have teachers you want to thank? Yeah. The whole group.
Every teacher deserves to know that they're a hero, even if it's not noted, they're a hero.
The stories of remarkable courage already emerging. There was the beloved assistant football coach, Aaron Feiss, a graduate of the school who came back to his alma mater to work with young athletes.
He was one of the greatest people I knew. He was a phenomenal man.
Witnesses say he responded to the initial call after hearing the sounds of gunfire erupt.
And I'm close with Mr. Feiss, so he kept waving at me to leave. And then I saw the shooter run after Mr. Feiss. And I saw Mr. Feiss get shot.
When Aaron Feiss died, when he was killed, tragically, inhumanely, he did it protecting others. You can guarantee that, because that's who Aaron Feiss was.
The weight of survival, now a heavy burden for these teenagers.
I know a lot of you have seen grief counselors. How many of you got help today? Almost the entire group.
These students feeling blessed to be alive, now trying to send a message to the nation to help them keep this from happening ever again.
What do you all want to hear from the people who we elect to solve these problems? What do you want to hear from them?
How are they going to stop this from happening? It's obviously happened way too often. It's a recurring trend.
I believe that any person should be able to obtain an AK-47 or an AR-15.
I mean, I know this is a big wake-up call, and I want people to rise up and stand together as a community and a nation and realize that we can make this the last time that something like this ever happens.
For Nightline, I'm
Spanish class, and now she's going to be an empty desk.
Liam Kiernan lost his best friend Gina Montalto yesterday afternoon when the world fell apart at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School.
I can't believe that I'm here right now, and why did I get out and she didn't, and why did this happen? We could have done so much to stop this.
Holy It's a scene we all hope we would never see again.
I was in the classroom and all of I hear was shots, and I was just like, oh my gosh, what's happening?
It was the last period of the day when a gunman opened fire with his AR-15. A school employee immediately calling a code red.
So right now we're in a school, an active shooter. It's not a drill. I heard one gunshot. We thought it was a drill initially, but it's not.
The fire alarm got pulled and kids were evacuating. I heard 5 pops.
The suspect, a former Douglas High School student, allegedly shot into at least 5 classrooms on 2 floors.
He was just very focused. He was very focused on what he was doing.
Terrified students hid in locked classrooms.
I couldn't believe something would happen to a school that got voted the safest place the year before.
First responders on the scene desperately tried to track down the suspect. Erica Duvall filmed this as the police broke the window of her classroom door to gain entry. In another classroom, screams of anguish from the wounded as police led the rest of the students to safety.
I thought I was going to die.
10 people still in the hospital. 17 are dead, including teachers, students, and coaches. 14-year-old Martin Duque, a freshman, his older brother, also a student at Douglas, shared the news on Instagram, writing, "Words cannot describe my pain. I love you, brother." Jamie Gutenberg, also 14, her father accepting condolences on Facebook. "I am broken," he wrote. "Hold your children tight." Gina Montalto's mother mourning the loss of her daughter, writing she was smart, loving, caring, and a strong girl who brightened any room she entered. Authorities say the 19-year-old suspect eventually dropped his rifle on the 3rd floor stairwell and exited the school.
The suspect crossed fields and ran west, along with others who were fleeing, and tried to mix in with the group that were running away.
Incredibly, he then went to a nearby Walmart, bought a drink, then went to a McDonald's. Around an hour after he opened fire, the suspect was spotted by Officer Michael Leonard.
He looked like a typical high school student, and for a quick moment, I thought, could this be the person? Is this who I need to stop?
He was apprehended about 2 miles from the high school.
The fact is, law enforcement responded in a very quick manner to the school and probably established a perimeter to ensure nobody was able to escape. However, the suspect clearly had in his mind he was going to shoot and then try to escape, and he was able to get outside of that perimeter before it was formed and contained around the school.
Within hours, police say he confessed to the killings, stating he was the gunman who began shooting students. Investigators are piecing together the suspect's background. Adopted as a baby, he lost his father when he was 5. Just last November, he lost his mother to the flu and went to live with a friend's family. The neighborhood where he grew up, big homes with well-manicured lawns. Neighbors say it was so normal. The suspect really stood out.
Aggressive, crazy, weird, psycho.
Brody Spino spent nearly a decade a few doors down from the suspect. He remembers him having a violent side, even at a young age.
He cornered a squirrel and was pegging rocks at it, trying to kill it. It was just weird.
Former classmates paint an even more twisted picture. They say the suspect was obsessed with guns.
Of people turning out for a vigil to remember those killed in that school massacre. Cub star Anthony Rizzo, a graduate of Stoneman Douglas High, getting emotional as he talked to the crowd.
We're learning more tonight about the 17 lives lost, most of them students, just teenagers. The suspect, a former student, is on suicide watch tonight, making his first court appearance and now held without bond. Investigators say that he legally bought that AR-15 assault rifle that he used. President Trump may visit Parkland as early as this weekend.
We have team coverage for you tonight. Let's begin with Liz Niggy in Florida, live at the school. Liz.
Valentine Stoneman Douglas High School is still an active crime scene, closed down to anybody but investigators. But a few miles from here earlier tonight, the entire community came together by candlelight to talk over in a park.
My friend,
the Cubs' first baseman couldn't not be here. This is Anthony Rizzo's home.
I just want all of you to know how proud I am to be part of this community. I want you to know that you're not alone in your grief.
Wednesday afternoon, his South Florida alma mater became the scene of a massacre.
I went to Stoneman Douglas. I grew up in Stoneman Douglas. I played on those fields. I went to those classes.
Nikolas Cruz, investigators say, stormed the high school hallways armed with a semi-automatic assault weapon, killing 17 people in his path. He'd been a student there, too.
Alana Petty, Jamie Gutenberg.
Jamie's father never got to say goodbye.
I don't remember if I said that to Jamie yesterday morning.
Tonight, there are too many parents of inconsolable students in his same position.
I'm used to the halls as somewhere I used to laugh and hang out with my friends, and now it's replaced with crime scenes.
They're looking toward a leader like Anthony Rizzo for a shred of hope.
If I could stand up here and speak for love and kindness and compassion, then I think we should all be able to do that.
Tonight, so many of these students could only hang on each other and cry. Many of them said they are not sure they will ever be the same. And tonight, investigators say they still don't know when this high school will reopen again.
In Indiana, another volunteered to help victims of Hurricane Irma, and one recently became a U.S. citizen. Eyewitness News anchor Cheryl Burton joining us tonight with more of their stories.
Well, Kathy, students weren't the only victims. Some of those killed were teachers and coaches who lost their lives protecting others. And tonight, they're being remembered as heroes. Scott Beagle taught geography. He was shot as he tried to rush students back into his classroom. And those who knew assistant football coach Aaron Feist say he died as he lived, helping others. The mother of Alyssa Al-Hadef says her 14-year-old daughter was beautiful, smart, and talented.
I know Alyssa is in heaven with God, and she's safe there.
Joaquin Oliver immigrated to the U.S. from Venezuela at the age of 3. Last year, he became an American citizen. Jamie Gutenberg's father posted on Facebook, quote, "I am broken as I write this, trying to figure out how my family gets through this." And star swimmer Nikolas Cruz planned to enroll at the University of Indianapolis this fall. ABC's David Muir spoke with several survivors in a school with more than 3,000 students. They all raised their hands saying they knew someone who was killed.
People who know that 19-year-old were not surprised. There were blatant warning signs. ABC 7's Rob Elgas here now with the young man's troubled past.
Alan, his social media profile was morbid. Photos of mutilated animals, threats of becoming a professional school shooter, and his attorney calling her client today a broken human being. 19-year-old Nikolas Cruz, a former student, arrived in an Uber carrying an AR-15 in a soft black case.
He went from the 3rd floor to the 2nd floor.
After opening fire, Cruz then blended in with fleeing students, walking to a Walmart and stopping at a McDonald's. An officer spotted him wandering, and he was arrested fewer than 90 minutes after the carnage. Adopted as a baby, his adopted father died when he was 4. Raised by a single mom, she passed away last year from the flu. Cruz was a troubled teen, his Instagram account showing guns and weapons. The president today.
We are committed to working with state and local leaders to help secure our schools and tackle the difficult issue of mental health.
The FBI saying today it received information last year about a comment believed to be made on YouTube by the suspect, but the Bureau was unable to identify it as Cruz.
The grief almost too deep to bear amid the realization that this massacre could have been prevented 6 weeks ago.
We are part of this community. As this community hurts, so do we.
It was January 5th, the FBI now reveals, that a person close to Nikolas Cruz called the FBI tip line with information about Cruz's gun ownership, a desire to kill people, erratic behavior, and disturbing social media posts. And this, the potential of him conducting a school shooting. The FBI says the information should have been assessed as a potential threat to life, but no further investigation was conducted at that time.
We truly regret any additional pain that this has caused. 17 innocent lives were taken from us because they failed to do this.
That was actually the second tip the FBI received about Cruz. Back in September, video blogger Ben Knight alerted them to a disturbing comment on his YouTube page. A user with the name Nikolas Cruz posting, "I'm going to be a professional school shooter."
Found that to be odd and disturbing.
The FBI investigated, but turned up nothing. Neighbors in the community where Cruz grew up describe a history of violence where Cruz tried to hurt and kill animals.
What did I say? We need a registry. They knew about it. The FBI knew about this nutcase.
That high school where the shooting happened will likely be demolished. There have already been discussions about tearing down that building and replacing it with a memorial.
Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, if, oh God, I'm not good. I had to pull over my truck. Nikolas Cruz is batshit crazy. He's a misfit. He didn't fit in. They knew about this. They knew about Nikolas Cruz for a long time. His Facebook posts, his Twitter, his social media, his accumulation of weapons, his talks about violence, his talks about using Islamic terrorism, ISIS, all these things. And they knew about this. What does it frickin' take for our society to realize that these types of criminals, these misfits, these individuals that talk, particularly male individuals that talk that they're going to do these types of acts of violence, if they're talking about doing it, that means that they're severely depressed. They need to be visited. Their garages, their attics need to be inspected. These people need to be on a registry. They need to be on a registry. Sex offenders are on a registry. We need to put these lone wolves and these misfits on a registry. There was 3 videos that I talked about this in 2017, and then there was one video that I posted earlier last month, and then I posted another video about a cop shooter, and now this. This is unacceptable. I call upon mayors, lawyers, doctors, engineers, congressmen, senators, form an organization to put these people away in a mental hospital. This guy had step-parents that were deceased, and then he was a misfit, and all the kids knew that he was a misfit, but nobody did anything about it. Nobody gave the fuck. Nobody cared. That's why all these kids at the school got shot. That's why this happened. This is very serious. These misfits, these lone wolves, these male misfits, we're talking about men and boys, because girls and women don't do this. We have to take these misfits. We have to take them very, very seriously. And we have to take these misfits, and if we see that we can't correct them, we have to put them in a mental institution for life. I don't know, what is it going to take for our society to wake up to realize that these misfits are very, very dangerous. They're showing signs that they're physically dangerous. We've had 18 school shootings already in 2018. What does it take? It looks like we like this sort of thing. We enjoy it. We embrace it. We accept it as something normal. It's batshit crazy. It is crazy that our American society in the 21st century, in 2018, is accepting this shit. This is fucked up. I'm sorry for my French. I'm sorry. I mean, I love God, but this is really, really fucked up. We have to do something about this. We have to have once a month inspection, and they have to have a psychological evaluation, and these misfits, if we can't correct them, if we can't straighten them out, take these misfits and lock them up in a mental hospital or in a nursing home for the rest of their lives. We need to protect the lives of our citizens because these young boys and these men are shown to have violent tendencies. They will commit violent acts. And we don't have control over our guns either. Our fascist regime in the White House wants to make sure to ensure that. I'm sorry, I mean, gentlemen, you know, you don't like me, I'm a bitch, I'm a cunt, call me whichever you want me to do. I'm speaking truth. If you guys don't like the way I say, I can't help you. We need a registry for these fuck-ups and these misfits. And we have a sex offender registry. We need to put these son of a bitches away. We need to put them away in a mental hospital or a nursing home for life. And if they haven't reached the point where we put them, then we need to definitely put them on a registry, and we definitely need to regularly inspect these people. And we definitely need to keep these people under close surveillance. I pulled over my truck. I donated blood today. I hope you all have enjoyed this video. If you like this video, please click the like button. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe down below. And ladies and gentlemen, thanks for watching.